Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Franchise Millionaire Show, where we speak about all things franchising here and also all things business. I'm really excited because I am not going solo today. I have a guest and a guest that we've kind of been waiting on for a while, but as entrepreneurs, we are all busy. Life happens. So I am really excited to have Sade on with us. So, welcome to the Franchise Millionaire Show, and we're very excited to have you. The listeners, they love when we bring on guests, and we have been kind of particular about who we bring on, and we've not been bringing everyone on, and we're going at our own pace. So I really like that. So let's kind of reflect back, like how did we meet? Um, Yes, so let's talk about that or how we got to know each other.
Okay, so yeah, thanks, Andrea, for having me. And finally, I get to come on. Like you said, life of an entrepreneur, you plan things, things change, you just have to go with the flow sometimes. So yeah, I'm glad to finally be able to come on the show. How did we meet? Let us backtrack to almost a year now. Actually, it actually makes exactly a month and a year and a month this month that we met. So we started this journey in March 2024, and thankful to our dear friend Adams that introduced you to us. That would be me and my husband. So we had gone to pay Adams a visit in his office, and he was telling us about his new business. And I was actually at a point in my life that I was being burnt out, and I felt like the whole world was on my shoulders, and I needed a change. And fortunately, when we visited Adams, he was kind enough to tell us about his business and how he made it happen. And that is where your name popped up, and he's like, you know what, if you need to do this, you need to speak with Andrea. And like instantly we connected with you, and yeah, so that is how we met. And it's been go 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 since then.
That is awesome. And for the people listening, where are you based? Like, where do you live in this great world?
Okay, yeah, in this great world, honestly. So we're living in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Yes. Calgary, it's a beautiful city. I love Calgary, visit often, and it's wonderful. So let's go talk more about something you mentioned. You mentioned that you were burnt out, you needed a change. So, what were you doing? What type of work were you involved in that was leading to burnout for you?
Yeah. So it's quite a journey, for me. I've been a banker, or I was a banker for the most of my career life. And yeah, I did banking for over almost 20 years. And that was what was actually burning me out.
Wow. So, people would look at banking and it's like, all you have to do is just give people money. What's the problem? But what is it that people don't know about that career?
I was given the money quite all right, but I think I was maybe not too lucky to have been in a kind of location where activity wasn't, really at the optimum, and you have targets that you needed to meet, and you had to make up for shortages in team members, like somebody's calling in sick, or maybe you're not fully staffed and things like that. We were always short staffed, and I was having to carry too much loads, and it was drowning me. Pretty much. I totally love the people that I work with. I would always say that anywhere that I go to, but I kind of got to the point that and also the remuneration wasn't commensurate with the level of work that I was doing at that point. I'm like, oh, oh, this is getting too much. I was really, really burnt out. There were episodes where I had to be rushed to the hospital. And that was like the drawing line for me, like, no, I've had enough. I've really had enough. But I am honestly very grateful for the experiences, because without those experiences, I don't think I will be where I am right now.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. I didn't know about, I don't, maybe you've mentioned I didn't know about the hospital episodes, and that's never good when your work is making you so sick that you're ending up in the hospital. Like, that's not a good thing. You mentioned that you were a banker for over 20 years. So where did you start your banking? Did you start it in Calgary or where did that get started for you?
Yeah, that started back in Nigeria with Zenith Bank. Oh gosh, memories. Yeah, I started off in Zenith Bank back in Nigeria back in 2004. And yeah, and then we moved to Canada 2008. And I started off, actually, when we got to Canada, I started off as a caregiver because I thought, okay, maybe I could actually do something different, you know. But then I haven't done that for like about a year in Canada where we came. I'm like, nah, I think I want to go back to banking. So I went back to banking, worked with two credit unions, and finally with Alberta Treasury branches. And that was where I had my last job as a banker. But even afterwards, I still worked a couple of months with the Canada Revenue Agency before finally calling it quits as a 9 to 5 employee.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, oh, thank you for sharing that. So from Nigeria, then to Canada, and then you worked and looked at a few different things, different path. And I think I loved what you said, Sade, when you basically said that, you're grateful for all those experiences because I think people sometimes believe that life is just everything's that we've done, whether we were meant to be there or not, like there is a lesson in all of that. And then we can take some of those skills from banking, I imagine. They would have had systems, ways of doing things that you can definitely take into your own business as an entrepreneur. So I think that's what I like about whatever, wherever we were at, and whether it was an excellent experience or not, we can always learn from it. So then let's look at something then. So you're feeling burnt out, you're being rushed to the hospital, you're trying a couple different things. So where did the idea then for entrepreneurship and starting your own business come from? What was leading to that as you're going through the experiences that you were going through?
Yeah, so having a business has always been something that, has always been top of mind for my family. And even before we met, we actually have explored different options of franchises. And unfortunately, we always hit a roadblock, no responses either through emails or calling, and you're not getting any good going ahead with anything that made sense. So it's something that, we already wanted to do. And even back in Nigeria, I kind of had a little business here and there. Um, I was selling corporate outfits, nothing too serious, but I was at the point where I almost had a store in a mall, one of the big malls, ShopRite back then in Lagos. I I was I was trading with TM Lewin and TM Lewin in the UK back then, and I was cargoing like huge numbers of those shirts and outfits, and I was selling that. So, this is something that I've always wanted to do, like have my own kind of business, but I just didn't know how to kind of like, do something meaningful, something not trading out of my car, but something that is actually what's calling a real business. And yeah.
Yeah, so tell me more about, so you're saying when you were in Nigeria, were you selling then, was it uniforms or was it fashion clothing? Like what were you that you almost got into the mall with? Tell me a little bit more about that business.
It's just fashion. Like I was in corporate and I just loved how, looking good, everybody dressing up and, so I started bringing in these shirts, TM Lewin shirts and, what's the second one now? I can't remember the name, but these shirts, if you wanted to have these shirts at that time, I'm not too sure. Maybe just one store had, those brands. And I'm like, oh, I could do this. I actually made connection with like a marketing manager back in the UK. And we've even designed websites. Like we've got up to the stage of, establishing it real big. But something kind of fell off along the line. I'm not too sure what that is at that time anymore. But yeah, like I wasn't fully dedicated to it, I would say. But yeah, like, I kind of just had those ideas, but yeah, it wasn't fully established. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that we do when we work with our clients is to, when they do the assessment, is to have them sort of look back and remember some of the things that they've done in their past. Because whether it's having a lemonade stand, whether it's starting a business and regardless of how far it got to, but the foundational pieces will remind us like, hey, I've always loved clothing, I've loved fashion, I've loved business, right? So it's going back to some of those things that will let us know and will guide us to our next place and to where we want to go. So we'll go back to where you said you went to see your friend Adams, you're visiting him at his office, and then he told you you've got to reach out to Andrea. Were you thinking about franchising at that point? Have you thought about it before? And so tell me where the whole franchising piece came from for you.
So we've thought about franchising before, but it wasn't in this sector that we are right now. And like I said earlier, also, um, when we went to Adams's office, it was just to pay a courtesy visit. And the only other thing is there was already kind of a trigger, like I was already in the deep of all the stuff that I was going through at work. And, visiting at that time kind of like, sealed the kind of like, okay, now is the time to get out of paid employment. Because, seeing that he could do it, seeing that there was resources to get to doing it, kind of made it look like, oh, so this is actually achievable, and that was what prompted us to like, okay, we're going to take a look at this and see if it's something that is worthwhile. And that is where you came in and, provided all the necessary information and data and everything that we needed to explore, to finally make that decision. But franchising has always been something that we wanted to do. We just didn't know how. We didn't know how to go about it. We went as far as, almost paying like a deposit to one of the bakery franchises, but we were lucky not to have, because if we had done that, we would have probably lost that money, because there wasn't any feedback process. You send an email, you wait 2, 3 months before getting a response and all of those things. So it was really discouraging. So we kind of just let that go at that time. But when we saw Adams and he's like, this is who did this for me. She's really good. You better talk to her. And yeah.
I do love Adams and Fola. They're amazing. And we're still working with them today. So that's still great. So I think that's fantastic. You've said a few things that what I love is the fact that you realize that you had a calling and you were listening to the voices and to what the universe was sending you because you saw Adams. You could have gone in, it was just a visit and say, oh, this is nice. Way to go. But I'm glad like how it sparked something in you and it reminded you that, hey, I know I can do this now because he's my friend. I'm seeing it happen to him. I know it's possible for that to happen for me too. So sometimes we do need other people. We need examples of things happening that make it more of a reality. So I think that was great that you're listening and you said that would make it you could see now that it would be achievable. And then the other thing you hit on is when we make decisions without having all the information, we can end up losing a lot of money. It can cost us quite a bit. So I'm really happy that you did not just send in your deposit. We met a couple in Toronto who also they were looking at investing in a business and they have no food experience or nothing. And they were trying to find a location to give all this money over, and I'm like, whoa, do you know what you're really getting into and what is involved? You've not run the food business, of course, can be tricky if you have no food experience. But if you don't have the guidance of someone walking you through it, it can be even more disastrous. So we're working with them now, and they're quite happy that they didn't go ahead and make this sort of investment. So people forget about, working with someone else who've been there before to prevent some of those pitfalls that can actually happen.
Because, it's also very important to kind of like a resource because there's always some fine lines, some things that are not said that will
Yeah,
be said later. And you be like, oh, you didn't tell me that from the word go. So having a resource makes it kind of easier to just go through the process real quick and easy because
yeah,
the person that is a resource has done it before, has people that have done it before. There are real life examples of people winning in that business. So, um, yeah, I've heard a lot of people be like, "Oh no, why give money to somebody when you can go on Google to research?" Yeah, go ahead on Google and research, but at the end of the day, you'll be making mistakes that are avoidable.
true.
So, yeah,
Yeah, and
I
mistakes are,
wouldn't even bat an eye, to say, "Oh, if I needed to find a resource, then I would do so."
yes, and mistakes too that can be very costly. So let's now talk about your business and the company that we work together. You finally invested in something. So let's talk about what inspired you now, and what made you decide to invest in the company that you invested in. So we're going to talk about your company now. So what is the franchise that you ended up buying? What is it called? And then we will do some backtracking after that.
Okay. So my company is always Best Care Senior Services, and yeah, located in Calgary, Northwest. And the main decision to go into healthcare, first of all, is because I have a background as a caregiver myself. Like I mentioned earlier, my first career in Canada was healthcare, HCA, healthcare aide, and I did that for 8 months, enjoyed it. The only reason I went back to banking was because I was very restless. I felt I needed to show that, yeah, I'm a big girl. I can go, I'm a banker and all that. But hey, this is something that actually resonates with my person. I love to take care of people. I love to have, to be seen in the community making an impact. And this is the easiest way to do that. And the reason why we chose this particular company is, first of all, you making that happen. You provided options, right? And out of the different options you provided, whether healthcare or different sectors, we went through those options and, maybe drop down to like maybe 4 out of like 10. And we're like, okay, which one, which one, which one? And looking at my capabilities and my husband's capabilities, our background, career wise, and interest, personal interest, everything just boiled down to healthcare for me because we kind of knew right from the word go that I will be the one doing this full time because he's still in his full paid employment. So the interest part of it was what actually decided for us. And, it's easier to get into something that you fully understand. And then, taking it from there and learning through the whole process was something that we felt will be easier out of all the lot that we have for the other sectors that were presented to us as options. And then now streamlining it down to the options in the same sector, we had two options. And choosing always best care was more because, so this is a company that was founded in the US, but we needed to know that, they know the Canadian market. Because it's one thing to buy a franchise. You already know you have the framework. You're still gonna do all the groundwork, but you need to know the policies, you know, of the Canadian market. You need to have somebody that can tell you how to start, where to go, and all of those things. So the differentiating factor for us was because we had a master franchisor in Canada that totally understood the Canadian market. And the interesting part of it is he didn't just understand the Canadian market, he understood or even understand till now the provincial policies. Because, I mean, he's in Ontario, we are in Alberta here. He understands the provincial market. So having that guidance was very, is all we needed as a conviction of which one to go with. There were other things with the other company that kind of would have made us tilt more to them, but for us, we needed somebody that we can shadow. We needed somebody that will always understand our predicaments, that can recommend people to talk to, places to go to, and all of those things. Plus, already there were other owners in Alberta. And yeah, at that time, so it was easy to speak with them and be like, hey, we are trying to buy into this business. Can you tell us a thing or two? We had several questions that we wanted to get answers to. And they were very, very nice enough to, like, tell us exactly their situation, and that kind of like sealed the deal for us. And then we ended up with Always Best Care out of the options that we had. And yeah, it's the support is still ongoing. I wouldn't even lie. Like, it's been amazing. We're competitors, but family. If you get what I mean. Like, I can pick my phone now and call the other guy in the other location, like, hey, what's going on? How are you doing this? And it's so open. Like, yeah, we're friends, we're family, and we're happy to do things together.
Yes, for sure. That's awesome. So some of the things that you said that people listening who don't own a franchise or have never bought into a franchise may not understand. And one of them is, which is vitally important, it's called validation. And validation is what Sade was talking about, where you're able to call existing franchisees in the business that you want to buy into and ask them real questions, right? Not the stuff that you're going to see on the internet, as to how great things are or things are fantastic, but you can really ask them the hard questions. And, questions such as, where do you find employees? What if you're not fully experienced in this? Are you getting any support? Because online it might say, oh, we are the best, but I do believe it's the franchisees that are operating the business that's going to give you the real life day to day answers. You can be asking things such as, what is your day in your life in the business? Because I've seen people where they have ideas like, oh, I'll buy this company and I'll just, be there collecting the money and bringing the money to the bank, but not realizing, no, 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 no. If you own the McDonald's, sometimes you've got to be the one flipping that burger and doing the fries, because when someone doesn't show up, next man up and that, or next woman up, and it's you, right? Like, it's not like where you get to sit back and watch everybody work. So I think there are some misconceptions about buying into any business, whether it's franchised or not, compared to what the reality is about running and owning a company, right?
Yeah, kind of corroborating that. If today was yesterday, I would have been in my scrubs having this meeting. So I
Yes.
needed to just, go fill up a shift because the caregiver wasn't available. She needed to come from a location to here and take up the shift, but I'm like, I'm not gonna give this shift to somebody else because I always like a consistency of caregiver with my clients. I'm like, yep, time to scrub up. I scrubbed up, did the shifts, client happy, I am happy, caregiver happy, everyone happy. So yeah, sometimes, you gotta wear different hats at different times. Eventually, as the business grows, then you have the capacity to have people doing everything for you. But for us, like at this point, I would rather be in the forefront doing those kind of things like marketing and stuff than having to pay people to do it.
Excellent. That's well said. How did you navigate then, or from being an employee to being an owner? Because two different mindsets, right? Owner versus, employee. So how did you navigate that?
That was a difficult one, honestly. But I really love the part of me not having to wake up like rushing to work and be like target, target. But that was when I first started. Okay, backtrack. Yes, I do have to wake up every morning thinking of where do I get my businesses from. So how did I navigate? It's mostly a mindset thing for me. I was ready right from the word go. I am so proud of myself, honestly, at the level of achievement. And this is because, like I said earlier, having the kind of experiences that I've had in the banking industry, I've always been a client facing person. Every situation, I always have to face clients. And, having those experiences, I'm like, okay, if I know how to talk to people, if I can stand in front of like 100 people and have conversations, this is a business that I own. I better be able to transfer that knowledge to this. So, transiting knowledge wise, I'm like, yeah, getting paper to pen and writing things down like, okay, what are the need to do's? When should I achieve them? What are the good to knows? Where do I get business from? Staffing and things like that. I kind of like from the word go sat down and did all of those paperwork and told myself this is a different ball game. No more salaries coming in every 2 weeks. That is the hardest part, honestly. And I think that was my first realization that damn, things are different now. There's no blink, bing, bing, bing in my notification on every 2 weeks Friday. Like, oh my God. So having the mindset that this is a totally different game than sitting in an office and having appointment booked for you and all of those things. um it was something that I told myself right from the very word go. And we always have family meetings in my house. Like, we sit down with the boys. I've got 3 boys, sit down with the boys and we tell them what's going on. And we told them, like, hey, mom is no longer employed, no more 9 to 5. So all those excesses that we used to have, we can no longer afford them right now. But down the line, maybe things will definitely change, but you got to give us some leeway for now and, not stress mom because she's having to start a new business that is totally new to everyone. But, give her the support, don't stress her. And that is my husband talking to the boys now. So, yeah, it's a big change. It's a big change of knowing that I'm no longer somebody's subordinate. I'm now the boss, and also treating people nicely because I also told myself that I've experienced some kind of bosses in the past. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be that kind of a boss. I'm going to be the nicest person to my team. So it's more for me like a mindset change, and it's kind of been working because I'm pretty resilient. I go out every day, do what I need to do. The only thing I'm trying to not do is when I'm tired to take some rest because, yeah, I feel like I have to face some board and, present to them what I've achieved. But no, I don't really have to. But, internally, I know that I have a target to achieve and I'm trying as much as possible to do that. So, yeah, it's a totally different world. No more paychecks coming in, but still, you got to pay other people, you got to pay rent. It's, yeah, totally different realization.
And sometimes, and you're right, transitioning when you're not getting that like every 2 weeks, and as employees, and I think that's the biggest reason why people stay as employees. They really want to make sure every 2 weeks they can see the check. And the problem with that as well is they stay in that world forever and they're not willing to do with a bit less for now to have more in the future. And one other thing that I realize as well is with every 2 weeks it was sort of guaranteed because I was a teacher as well. When I was teaching at the time, I was paid once a month, so that's a longer time to wait, and that gave me a lot of security. I felt safe, but I had to change my mindset instead and change it to, what if I can write my own checks? Right? Why do I have to wait once a month or every 2 weeks? What if you wanted to write checks to yourself weekly? You can do that. And then I realized I had the power to change the amount as well. And so you can set mini goals. If you are getting, if every 2 weeks you're getting 2,500 from the bank or 5,000, whatever your number is, you can say, I'm going to have my business pay me that amount. And then you can double and triple it. And whatever you're making a year, in your salary, if it's 75,000, 100,000, you can also start gamifying this process and say, I want to get to a point where my business is making 100,000, but we're doing it in a month, right? We're not doing it in a year, because as employees, you're trained to only think in two ways: every 2 weeks and a year, not trained to think monthly. And I think as entrepreneurs, that's where we get to write our own checks and we can think in a whole different way. I can do an entire episode on this, and I may have, where I talked about my husband. When he was looking at leaving the airlines, all his friends were like, "Oh my God, what about the free travel?" And it was like, I want to get to a point where we buy our own tickets, we fly business class, we fly first class on our own dime, and we're still doing better than the people who are working at the airlines, who they can only hope that there's a seat available for them, right? So it is, I do agree with you. It's all about a mindset and a mindset shift from going from being an employee to being an owner and to actually being an entrepreneur, and to know that you can, write your own checks. And once you understand that the universe has so much to offer and you don't have to be capped in your salary, capped in your thinking, then everything opens up for you. So I'm going to ask you just a few more questions here quickly so that we can get to the end, because I could talk to you for another 2 hours, but you know how that goes. So what has been your biggest success and proudest moment so far since becoming a franchise owner in your company? Like, what's something that you looked at and said, wow, I'm so proud I've done this? Anything that comes to mind?
Honestly, every day is success for me. Honestly, because so let me talk about our very first client. We talk in hours in this business. We kind of like talking hours. So like, when you get a client, the first thing is like, oh, how many hours are they asking for? And then we had this person, she reached out to us. First of all, I'm like, yes, somebody called us. Like, yes, if your phone is ringing, then you're doing something great, right? She called in and then she wanted 1 hour every 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, 1 hour every 2 weeks. Like, okay, I'm gonna take it. And I took it. And I'm like, yeah, having one client in that was actually our very first month. And I'm like, this is good. I'm starting off on a very good note. Like, even if it's 1 hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is, just the fact that there was somebody already, being served under our company tag gave me so much joy. And the relationship fell off along the line because she couldn't afford to do even that 1 hour every 2 weeks again. She wanted 30 minutes. I'm like, oh no, I'm so sorry. But you know what? Ever since that first month, we literally have at least one or two clients every month since we started. And all of this is due to my own personal efforts. And I'm like, I'm in a sector where it is heavily, the competition is amazing. There's so many big names in this business, and little me, I'm just starting off and I'm already, I hit the ground running, I would say. The numbers that we have right now, not quite there yet, but we're not doing badly at all. Is a major success. And like, I wake up every day, I look at my team, and I'm like, wow, how did I achieve this? There's nothing more successful than that. We're barely 8 months now. We opened in 9 months. This is our ninth month. So I have an amazing team. I have people that I can pick up my phone and speak with and be like, you know what, I can't do this today. Can you help to cover up for me and things like that? And I have them. And I'm like, there's nothing better than this. So every day for me is a great success story. I am also lucky, though, I must say, that I in a location where the government is also supporting the sector that I'm in, and I cannot overrule that. The government is very, very supportive, and being able to communicate that subsidized care to people is also something that is helping our business grow. And that is where all the effort and all the extra work comes from. So, yeah, it is not like magic or something, but effort and the government's being supportive.
Yes. Awesome. Fantastic. So, as we wrap up, and I'm so glad to hear that you're growing. And the thing about the first client I call, we never forget our first. That's what they say. Because you always remember the name, the person, the phone rang, and when the phone ring, it makes it real, right? So it becomes very real. So, one thing that I want to find out in working with our team and working with a franchise consultant, what would you say was one of the things that working with our team and us helping you to find the franchise that you needed? So looking back, what would you say that experience had for you? How did it help you to buy your franchise? And just talking a little bit about working with a team or getting help in terms of investing and buying into a business.
So, your team, amazing people. Shout out to Jody and everybody else. Um, having precise information about what is available, number one, and then having the options to look through and then scale down to what catches your fancy. And also, I would always remember that personality traits test that you did for us.
Franchise fit assessment, yes.
Yeah, that is something so amazing. As it was, then it kind of helped to kind of like, show the personality traits of where we could actually do better and the kind of sectors that fits our personality traits. That was amazing. And communication. I like to send an email and somebody responds back to it. I don't like to be left hanging. And that is something that your team would always do. There's always somebody responding to inquiry and, a little bit of confusion here and there. There's always somebody that would quickly say, oh, no, this is what it is. Just having that total clarity from the team and providing that validation process as well, providing the real life situations, real life people, not just papers and numbers, was something that made our decision easier and faster.
Awesome. So, what advice would you give to someone today who's considering buying a franchise or thinking about getting into this industry? What would you say to them?
First of all, don't do it alone because you're going to be stressed out trying to understand it. But if you can, good luck. But you have to look inwards. What is that one thing that catches your fancy? What are you interested in? Do you like baking? Maybe you want to go into the food industry. Do you personally like to cook? Do you like to help people? Do you like to teach? Whatever catches your personal interest, you might do better being in that kind of industry. And for me, for my personal situation, so my husband is still working. I am doing this full time. Have a backup. It's good to have a backup. But if you cannot, of course, do not stretch to thin, trying to do everything by yourself. Have a backup, meaning that financially, because at some point you're going to need extra funds. So you need to have a backup. You need to also know how to source for your funds to do the franchising payments and all of those things. You need to have the funds to do it. you need to also understand the market that you're going into. That is very, very key. Do not say, oh, yeah, they say the uh teaching industry is booming now. Let me go buy a magnesium or something. Hey, can you teach? Do you know the policies and the government's policies that is involved? Do you know anything of such? So be interested in knowing what's the government has to do with your sector that you want to go into, and have mentors. Seek mentors, read, have mentors. Apart from the validation, you also want to have your personal mentors that you can easily run to let you know if your decision is okay. Because not all of us, some people would need extra help to kind of make their decision. You break it, put it on the table, and go through it and see if it makes sense. Have people that can help you to make that decision if you do need that help. Another thing that is also very important is the industry that you want to go into. Is it recession proof? So let us think of COVID, right? When COVID happened, how many businesses failed? So if it's a recession proof kind of business, that might be something you want to go into. If it's something that government policies is going to affect, you want to really think about all those kind of things. So yeah, those are my little tidbits for whoever wants to go into franchising, because there are very various options, but you need to know all those things and so many much more that I didn't say.
Yes. Well, you said quite a bit. That was very, very helpful. I love it. I love it all. Having mentors, research the industry that you're going into. Make sure you're reading. Like, oh my, some people are not willing to do any of the basic work, right? Because there's so many misconceptions they have about franchising, such as that they think once you buy a franchise, it's an ATM and all the work is being done for you. You can just sit back. No, you're buying a business. It's your business. You're putting up the collateral. You're putting up the money. You're giving up your job. So you need to make sure you're also educating yourself alongside what the franchisor is doing. They have a role, and you also have a role in the process to be able to make it successful. And Sade, you were amazing and fantastic. Again, Sade's business is always Best Care. It is located in Calgary, so referrals are welcome. And we are so
Yes,
happy.
please.
Yes. So happy that she came on our show today to give some insight into franchise ownership and specifically for her into the senior care healthcare industry. So thank you everyone for listening to today's episode of the Franchise Millionaire Show. And we cannot wait to see you again with another episode. Have a great day. Bye bye.